Welcome class 12th. Today we shall start with our lecture number 2, chapter 1, Indian economy, chapter number 1 of TR Jain, Indian economy on the eve of independence. Now see, in this lecture we shall discuss about agriculture sector on the eve of independence and industrial sector on the eve of independence. Fine. Now see, as we have discussed that how Britishers exploited our agriculture sector, industrial sector and foreign trade, what were the features of Indian economy on the eve of independence, all these things we have discussed in our previous lecture. Fine. So in this lecture we shall begin with the agriculture sector on the eve of independence. Before starting this topic, you should note some of the points that notable economists who estimated India's national income and per capita income were Dadabhai Naroji, William Digby, Findlay Shiris, V.K.R.V. Rao and R.C. Desai. This is your 1 mark question. Kindly note that. Now, let's begin with agriculture sector on the eve of independence. First point is low production and productivity. So first we need to note what is productivity. Productivity refers to the output per hectare of land. Production refers to the total output. Fine. Both production as well as productivity was low. Fine. Wheat during the productivity of wheat in 1947 was 660. Production of rice was 665 during independence. Then high degree of uncertainty. Agriculture showed a high degree of uncertainty because it was completely dependent on rainfall. Good rainfall implies good output, while poor rainfall implies poor output. This is very obvious. Now, no efforts were made under the British rule to develop the permanent means of agriculture. Then we have dominance of subsistence farming. You need to note here that what is subsistence farming? Subsistence farming is a form of farming in which crops are produced to provide for the basic needs of the family. There is little surplus left for the sales in market. That means output is not sold in the market, that is directly consumed by the farmer's family. Clear? And in this, owners of the soil and the tillers of the soil, there was not a good relation, not a cordial relation between them. There was gulf between owners of the soil and tillers of the soil. Clear? In the previous lecture also we discussed about this, that agriculture during the British Raj was characterized by the gulf between owners of the soil and tiller of the soil. Owners, they used to charge high tax revenue from the tillers of the soil, and tillers were left with the bare minimum. They were not able to invest in their agriculture. They could not utilize the modern farming techniques. They could not invest in their agriculture. Fine. So during British rule, tillers of the soil, they were confronted with the absolute poverty, and they were under the high debt. Their cost of borrowing was very high. So there was not a cordial relationship between the owners of the soil and tiller of the soil. There was gulf between them. There was a difference between them. Okay. So the partition of the country had negative impact on the Indian agriculture. Then we have point small and fragmented holdings. See, land holdings were both small as well as fragmented. Fragmented का मतलब होता है piece here and there. Fine. That was not consolidated. It was fragmented. Fragmented, that means a piece here and there. Accordingly, most land holdings were uneconomic, yielding low output at a high cost. Fine. India got 82% of the population and 65% of food grain area because of the partition. There was partition of the country. Fine. Rich food producing area, West Punjab and Sindh went to the Pakistan. Then we have Land revenue system under British Raj. This we discussed in the previous video. Zamindari system. In this, you will explain the Zamindari system, that Zamindars were recognized as the permanent owners. Number one. Number two, Zamindars were to pay fixed sum to the government as a land revenue. Number three, Zamindar were free to extract as much as they wanted from the tillers of the soil. Okay, so these 3 points you need to explain. And then tillers were reduced to the status of landless laborers. As landless laborers, the tillers merely got subsistence wage in kind. So this shows that there was backwardness. Then we shall start with our another topic. We discussed about agriculture sector on the eve of independence. Now we shall discuss about industrial sector on the eve of independence. Fine. So there was a decay of handicraft. ठीक है, bleak growth of modern industry owing to the lack of investment opportunities. There was little or very slow growth of the modern industry because there was less capital with the sectors, with the private sectors, and then there was a need of public sector to invest. First point is tariff policy, discriminatory tariff policy. This means that tariff-free export of raw material from India and tariff-free import of British industrial products into India. Clear? Second point, we have disappearance of princely courts. Prior to the British rule, Nawab, Rajas, princes, they preferred handicraft goods. They wanted handicraft goods because they thought that handicraft goods were better in quality. Fine. They thought that they can be a symbol of their royalty. So they preferred handicraft products. Then we have competition from machine-made products. Machine-made products from Britain were low-cost product and gave a stiff competition to the handicraft products in India. Also, machine-made products excelled the Indian handicraft products in precision and quality. So, competition forced the Indian handicraftsmen to shut down their enterprise. So, this affected our industrial sector. First, that was discriminatory tariff policy. There was no uniformity, no synchronization of import duty and export duty. Tariff-free export and tariff-free import was there. Then disappearance of the princely states. Then we have new pattern of demand. Owing to the impact of British culture, a new class emerged into India. Now see, we did that. People preferred machine-made product. Clear? People preferred cheap goods which were imported from Britain. Now see, if there are cheap products, if there are machine-made products, definitely there will be more choices with the customers. Fine. So there will be emergence of new patterns of demand. They will prefer Western culture. People will prefer modern clothes, luxuries. Fine. So there was new patterns of demand. Then introduction of railways in India, you may mark it as a positive contribution of the Britishers in the Indian economy. With the introduction of railways, size of the market for the low-cost British goods tended to expand while it started shrinking for the high-cost Indian products. This quickened the process of decay of Indian handicraft. See, introduction of railway was there in